things. Number one is, we've been, yesterday at practice, I didn't know if, I actually texted Hart, my boss, and Ketch, my two bosses, and was like, because this reminded me back in during that COVID time, I was like, I don't know if we're going to be able to play Saturday. We have so many, you could barely practice Wednesday, barely practice yesterday with them as in terms of guys. And we have trying to figure out because the flu has just run through our team. Everybody's just been sick. So we had to use managers yesterday to be able to even organize a practice. Wednesday, we barely had any guys. Today we'll have a little more. So we're just hopefully, we got to get to Saturday, hopefully to be able to be healthy. We know we're playing a really good Air Force team, very well coached by Joe Scott. Very, very good basketball coach, excellent coach. Runs great stuff offensively, defensively. They're hard to play against, hard to prepare for. We know we'll have to, play at a very high level. We've been, obviously, it's just part of the deal. This week's been a tough week just because of the flu bug. I got it over this past weekend, and I really don't get sick. And I was in a fetal position for 48 hours. I could barely, it was the worst I've ever experienced. And it was bad. So I know when guys are getting it, it's bad. And, but, bottom line is we just got to, hopefully the majority of guys are healthy enough tomorrow, we'll do what we can to get them as quickly as we can to get them back. And we'll see how things are tomorrow. And we know we're going to play really well against a really good Air Force team. And they do different things defensively, changing defenses. Offensively, they're big about cutting and the stuff they do in the backdoor cutting and all that. The way they play with a lot of the princess type of stuff. So I ran it when I was at Georgia Tech, so I have a great familiarity with it. They're good. And how about Coach there, by the way, undefeated in conference play again? Yep. She's the gold standard in all of UNLV athletics, by the way. So she's my favorite. Good luck, Coach. And so anyway, that's that, and we got to be ready to go out and compete tomorrow.
Anybody ruled out for tomorrow?
Well, it's all day by day. It was to a point where I thought I was, and you don't want to have me going to practice. So even though I can do 20 miles on a spin bike in about 53 minutes. In fact, I saw this the other day on 60 Minutes, just about the reporter actually did it. She hiked Mount Everest. And I was thinking, man, that'd be a great, see if I could try that. Now I have to train myself because I've always wanted to cycle in the Alps. And I think I'm in great physical shape for 48. I really am. I can do things, and I don't know how many 48-year-olds can do. So, but the one thing you don't want to have me go on the practice floor. So I don't think how much I would help be good on that. But if you see me at the gym, there's things I do you're like, man, what is he trying to do? Because I'm trying to push myself to see if I can get to another level of VO2 max cardiovascular. So for me to be out like I was out in the fetal position, it was bad. So I'm just hoping, I don't know who's going to be there tomorrow. I don't know. It's just going to be, and whoever it is, we've got to go up and get the job done and produce and figure it out and find a way to try to help us play at a high level and try to get a win.
Coach, what can you say about Dre's growth each game?
Yeah, Dre has been, look, the reality of it is, woman, we've talked about this on our show, that, look, we signed Miles Shea to be our starting point guard. That was the reality of it. And in a football terms, imagine here's your quarterback, and you're now taking the running back to be your quarterback. And for Dre, who's a natural scorer, and he's a really good player, for him to have to shift his focus from, hey, yes, I can score, but now I've got to learn how to run a team. And you just don't plug and play like that. And if there was anything we didn't maybe not having enough point guards to, Miles Shea hadn't been injured. And then he gets injured on the same foot twice, which is how him and Lodgy. How that happens on coincidences of numbers is just beyond belief. And that being said, Dre and Isaac Williamson have been thrown into the position of point guard immediately, and especially Dre. So he's had to adjust on it on the fly. We've been teaching him a lot with film. We've been, really just on him every single step of the way. And I really believe he's playing the best basketball of his life over this last stretch. So he's got to keep it going. For our team to be successful, guard play has to be elite, especially our point guard play. Even though he's not maybe a true point guard, he's got to figure it out, and he's got to continue to be really good in order for our team to be really good.
Coach, you played with an unhealthy team all season.
Yes.
On injury side, but now with the flu, how important do you think it is that your team knows how to play out of system?
Yeah, you know what? You know what's amazing? And I talk to our guys about this all the time, about washing their hands. Like, you wash your hands, you take the soap and water, you have friction, you sing happy birthday to yourself, or you count to 20 seconds. Like, I wash my hands, like, erotically, and I still got sick, so you're always trying to think, don't touch your face, and you're, this and that, and what are you gonna do, so it's just part of life. And so for the guys, yes, we've been hit with the flu, and but it's just been one of those things for us this year where it hasn't been a smooth sailing. It's been choppy waters and we're trying to get to calm waters and eventually to the land, and we're just in choppy waters, and it's another little bit of choppy waters right now that we've got to just figure it out. And so you're trying to mix match on who's going to be where, what, project. I don't know who's going to play tomorrow yet. That's the other issue. And then someone could say, I can play, coach, but they haven't practiced for 3 days. And I know that how I felt with the flu. I don't know how are the guys going to be able to play. Like are they going to be able to exert themselves to the, so as much as I went into thinking we're going to keep shorten the rotation and trying to keep things tight, depending on who we have tomorrow, it might be different. So it's just one of those things. It's been one of those years where it's just the fun thing. If you tune into UNLV 25-26 running Rebel basketball, you hope we're gonna try to do all we can to play up tempo. We're gonna do all we can to move the ball, player movement, ball movement. We're gonna do all we can to be the first on the floor and dive on the floor. And you can expect the unexpected. You don't know what the roster is. I mean, it's literally a day-by-day deal just based on health and now because of the flu situation. So we'll just see how it shakes out and who's going to be able to play tomorrow.
You mentioned health. Is there any update on Miles and Lodgy?
I don't foresee Miles and Lodgy being able to play the rest of the season. I would be surprised. We're hoping they can come back, but based on their second part of the end, they're both having the same injury the second time around on the same foot, which for those percentages of that to happen is very slim to none. How it happened, that's for another time and place, but I'm not assuming they're going to be back for this season, unfortunately.
The follow-up on that, you haven't. Mason hasn't really seen the floor much, if at all, this year. So you're going to start seeing some time with players out.
Mason came to me earlier in the year, and I appreciate you asking that because I should have brought it up way earlier. Mason came to me at the very beginning of the season and asked to redshirt, and so we are redshirting him. So he will not play this year based on him redshirting. Is why he has not been in the game is because of him redshirting.
Coach, what do you want to get out of practice today, focusing on the defensive end?
Yeah, I mean, we've got to be able to, do all we can, and for the guys who are able to practice to guard their stuff, the Air Force's actions, just based on, because it's a different type of system, just based on what they do, and then also we have to make sure that we know that we're decisive and ready to go in our offensive plan of attack as well too. So, and we had a good practice yesterday for the small numbers that we had. We had a good practice Wednesday for the small numbers that we had. We just, we'll maybe have a little more today just because a couple guys are a little bit more in the men. The issue is they haven't done anything and they're just coming off of being sick. So how much they'll be able to practice, they will just see.
Is defending against the Air Force Princeton offense the most difficult for guys like Tyron Jones or Pastner? Or Williams, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Freshman.
The problem is some of those guys are sick, and they're not going to be in practice to play against it, to practice against it. So, yes, that is especially for Tyron, he needs the practices this week, but he's been out because of the flu, and unfortunately. So, I don't know what his situation will be tomorrow, but guys like him and Isaac and those guys, especially the young guys, because they haven't seen something like that, and but. Obviously we've had staff meetings, and I just told our staff, we got to get to the game as healthy as we can on Saturday. We don't get any credit for having good practices if we get more guys at practice but less at the game. So we just got to get to the games. We got to get to the game on Saturday with as many healthy bodies as we can. Like for example, like I bring the guys back at night, the night before games. So like we'll practice today at noon, and I usually bring the guys back tonight for films, meeting, et cetera, around 7. I'm not going to do that tonight. I'm going to cancel that just because, one, we don't have enough numbers, and two, we don't need anyone getting around each other right now, so it's one of those deals. So we just got to get to Saturday, and then we have a quick turnaround Tuesday. So we have the issue is it's Saturday, Tuesday, Friday. We have a quick turnaround over these next 7 days. So as I told our staff, we got to be healthy for Saturday, Tuesday, Friday, in order to give ourselves a chance to compete and try to win games.
Did Chattanooga run anything close to what Air Force runs?
There are similarities to it. Chattanooga plays a little faster. They score more points traditionally than Air Force, but there is some. The system is, and a lot of is the same in terms of their actions and some of the stuff that they do. Yes.
Forcing over 20 turnovers last game. How are you going to try to carry that for the rest
Yeah,
of the
no,
year?
we want to use our length to our advantage, get out as much as we can to try to force some turnovers. We know Air Force is going to want you to make you play, against their offense for 30 seconds in the shot clock, and so we've got to try to create turnovers that we can and then get out and run and be we talk about it in strike mentality. So you get out and run, try to score in the first 6 to 8 seconds if we have the opportunity to do so. But in order to do that, you got to either create turnovers and or get stops.
Was it good to have a game like that coming off the break right before going back into conference
Yeah,
play?
I thought it was important for us just to kind of work out little kinks. You've seen some teams, some games where just after Christmas it takes a little bit just to get back in the flow. So I thought that was good for us to have the flow. Now it'll be more about us getting back in the flow of our conditioning, after being out with multiple guys with the flu virus.
Dre's been shooting the 3-ball well, but everyone else, again, it was like 3 to 21 in that game against La Sierra. Is there a point where you just say, hey, there's a cap? Can you do that? You can say, don't shoot threes?
Well, but Steve, I would say this. You are fair enough on that, but I would say, and Dre issued the ball, but we had some wide open threes. And it's hard not to not take them. So, because the ball gets swung and they're just sitting there wide open, and I mean, and some teams are playing off of us to play, on the drive. So it's hard to say don't shoot those, and some of those guys are getting some open shots, or our perimeter players. So, we've got to make some. What we don't need to do is live and die by the three. And yes, we took a bunch of threes versus La Sierra. Part of it, I think the game kind of got to where it got, where we were able to, do that. But we need to be great in the paint. That's still our bread and butter. I think if you even look at the game versus Stanford that we won, we didn't take a lot of threes. We won because we put points in the paint. As you know, you were there. So that's a big thing. And but I don't know. You're that wide open from three. It's hard to not take them, especially from the. Now we don't need Emmanuel taking a 3-pointer at the top of the key. And I told him that, like, what are you doing? I get if it was 1 second on the shot clock, but we don't need you taking that three. And then he tried the next day to show me that he can make 10 in a row from there. I was like, hey man, here's what I would tell you. You get 15 to 20 rebounds. Every 15 rebound game you get 1 3. I got no problem with that. You know what I mean? So we'll have a trade-off. You get 15 boards in the game, you get a 3-point shot. So, but before then, let's not take those. But other guys got to be able to be ready to step up and make them. And goodness gracious, we're due to make them at some point. I know. How long I've been saying that? I mean, I've been saying that for the last 6 weeks. So it's been those two. But to my defense, our two of our best shooters are possibly out for the year, or going to be out for the year. Miles Shea, who came in as a 40% three-point shooter, and Lodgy. I mean, because even when Lodgy played, he was obviously, we didn't know he was playing on a broken foot. We just, that's for another. So I say all that to say that our two best shooters are out, and that hurts our percentage big time.
Did Emmanuel make 10 in a row in front of him?
He made quite a few, not 10 in a row, but he made quite a few. He's actually got a decent little stroke, but we need him by the basket more so than we have enough guys on the perimeter right now. Yeah.
Do Tyron, Benarby, and Kamani have green light? All three?
They do. Yeah. But now if it gets taken advantage of the green, everyone really has the green light pretty much, as long as it's a good shot. My thing is more about shot selection. And good shot versus bad shot. If it's a bad shot and not a good shot selection, that's a different deal. But if the ball is into the paint, driven, kicked out, and you guys know this, you all have seen it. When the ball's moving, and I'm big about our team, the ball moving, and it gets one more, and you're sitting there wide open. It's awfully hard to, for a guy not to take it if it's one of those. But we use the word stampede a lot. Hey man, if that's something that's you're not shooting a high percentage, let's stampede it. What does that mean? The ball's kicked, swung, and as the ball's being passed to you, as you're going as the ball's coming to you, and then catching, so you're almost running downhill. You're stampeding it, so you're more towards the basket, into the paint, more so than waiting for it to you, especially if your percentages from three are and such. So we've used the word stampede quite a bit. Okay, Happy New Year, everybody.
Okay.
Thanks, Coach. Thank you.